After the meeting, Li approaches Xing, does a magic trick, and invites her to dinner. Xing happily agrees. Meanwhile, Han Ting sees them talking and feels jealous for the first time. Later, Li invites Xing to watch a movie, but she politely declines, saying she has too much work. Xing's parents visit her and are thrilled to see how successful her company has become. They haven't seen Han Ting, so they meet him afterward and learn from Han Ting that they have broken up. Understanding the situation, Xing's mother says she knows her daughter well. She believes that if Xing hadn't forgiven Han Ting, she wouldn't have come back from Germany with him. Meanwhile, Lin Jia's mother sneaks some spicy snacks, and Lin Jia catches her. Realizing she's been caught, she admits she was faking being sick to create an opportunity for his happiness. Lin Jia then walks Xiaomeng out and asks her again if she's ready to be his girlfriend. This time, she says yes, and Lin Jia is overjoyed. Chang He meets with Zheng Di and asks if she's willing to let him acquire all the shares of Guanghua. He reminds her that, despite everything over the years, he has always been by her side. Zheng Di stays silent. Chang He then confesses his deep feelings for her, promising that he would never treat her as coldly as Han Ting did. His words touch Zheng Di deeply. Meanwhile, Zhu Houyu is now on the run, a situation mostly caused by his actions. Desperate, Zhu Houyu calls Chang He, demanding compensation. Chang He coolly reminds him that it was Han Ting who reported him. At a summit on intelligent medical devices, both Xing and Han Ting are present. On stage, Han Ting shares his journey of starting his business and his strong commitment to investing in smart healthcare. Xing listens to Han Ting's speech and realizes that despite Han Ting's cold exterior, he has always been soft-hearted inside. Xing finally understands that she has misunderstood Han Ting. After the summit, Xing immediately calls Han Ting. When she finds out he's already home, she rushes to his place. Standing at his doorstep again, Xing hesitates but decides to try the door code from a year ago. To her surprise, it hasn't changed. Inside, everything looks just as it did before. On the refrigerator, Xing sees a list of 10 things they had planned to do together, with Han Ting having completed them alone. It's a silent testament to his devotion and longing for her. Suddenly, Xing is kidnapped by Zhu Houyu at Han Ting's house. Zhu Houyu calls Han Ting, demanding ransom money. Han Ting becomes frantic. On his way to Zhu Houyu, he contacts Tang Thong, gives him the exact location, and urges him to call the police. When Han Ting finally meets Zhu Houyu, he hands over a bank card and cash, but Zhu Houyu still attacks. During their struggle, Zhu Houyu stabs Han Ting. In an attempt to push Zhu Houyu off the building, Han Ting is also dragged down with him. Xing screams and rushes over, only to see Han Ting fall onto an airbag below. At the hospital, despite his pain, Han Ting's first question is whether Xing is hurt. Xing, deeply moved, asks why he risked his life to save her. Finally, she admits that she had forgiven him long ago. Meanwhile, Chang He presents Zheng Di with a contract for the full acquisition of Guanghua, asking her to sign it. Sensing his manipulative tactics, Zheng Di asks if he knows about Han Ting being stabbed. Chang He denies any involvement, claiming it has nothing to do with him. Zheng Di visits Han Ting and mentions that Chang He is about to acquire Guanghua. She asks if he regrets selling his shares. Han Ting calmly replies that he never regretted it. Hearing this, Zheng Di realizes there's no hope left for her with him. Later, Han Yan meets with Chang He and confirms his involvement in Han Ting's injury. She warns him not to overstep his bounds, reminding him that her grandfather has many informants. She advises him to avoid provoking her family's wrath and declares that she will cut all ties with him from now on. Su Zhizhou, Li Li, Xiaomeng, and Lin Jia visit Han Ting together. After Han Ting recovers, he is discharged from the hospital, and Xing takes him home. The next morning, Han Ting gets up to make breakfast for Xing. Xing takes the salad dressing bottle from his hand, and they enjoy cooking side by side. Li Li invites Su Zhizhou to dinner, and he arrives with a bouquet of flowers, telling her they are the same type she brought when she first visited their workspace. This gesture makes Li Li realize Su Zhizhou's feelings for her. Recently, Li Li overheard at work that Su Zhizhou turned down an opportunity to study in Germany. She knows how much he cares for her and has watched him grow. She advises him not to give up on such a valuable opportunity. Later, in a parking lot, a car suddenly speeds toward Xing. Han Ting quickly pulls her out of the way, but in doing so, he aggravates his old injury and gets severely hurt again. Xing rushes him to the hospital, and his cousin, Han Yun, soon hears the news. Han Ting's grandfather flies back to visit him in the hospital. Seeing his grandson in such a serious condition, he assures Han Ting that he will fully investigate the incident and urges him to focus on recovering. While Han Ting is hospitalized, rumors start spreading that Dongyang Group's implantable medical devices contain radioactive substances. In response, Han Hai Xingchen Company holds a special press conference where they publicly demonstrate, using detectors, that their devices are safe and free from any issues. Many reporters witness the demonstration, which clears up doubts about the quality of the medical devices. The company praises Xing for her quick thinking and effective crisis management during this time. In the hospital ward, Han Ting watches Xing give her speech at the press conference. Later, Han Ting's grandfather visits the hospital with Han Yun. He warmly reminds Han Yun that they are all family and that Han Ting has always valued their bond, never complaining. He gently advises Han Yun to let go of past grievances. The next day, Xing approaches Han Yun and asks her to attend the next board meeting. Xing hopes Han Yun will help persuade the board to support Han Ting's proposal for a talent pool. Han Yun smiles and agrees, finding Xing more convincing than Han Ting. At the board meeting, opinions are divided on Han Ting's proposal. Many board members are worried that the large investment will hurt Dongyang's profits. Some question Xing's experience and view her approach as hasty. Just as the proposal seems about to be rejected, Han Ting stands up with effort and uses data to show that Xing's plan is solid. Han Yun immediately supports Han Ting. After a vote, the board agrees to move forward with the proposal. To help with Han Ting's recovery, Xing makes soup for him every day. Han Ting later presents his plan to his grandfather, who admires Han Ting's vision and ambition after hearing about his next steps. With his grandfather's approval, Han Ting quickly holds a press conference to introduce the talent pool to the public. Watching the TV report, Chang He silently acknowledges Han Ting's generosity and realizes he has underestimated him. Chang He admits to Zheng Di that he doesn't have the same magnanimity as Han Ting and advises her to let go of any grudges, noting that Han Ting never saw them as true competitors. The announcement of Dongyang Group's talent pool receives widespread praise, and the company's stock price rises. At Su Zhizhou's farewell party, he seems distracted and secretly hopes Li will ask him to stay, but she doesn't. She knows that after his 3-year overseas assignment, he'll secure the position of R&D director, and doesn't want to hold him back. At the airport, Su Zhizhou sees Li running towards him. They embrace without speaking, fully understanding each other's feelings. Meanwhile, Han Ting prepares to marry Xing and plans to meet her parents. Xing's father advises Han Ting to think carefully about marriage. Han Ting apologizes for their previous breakup, saying that after everything they've been through, they now understand each other better and can have a stronger relationship. They take a family photo at Xing's home, marking a new chapter in their lives. Su Zhizhou frequently video calls Li from Germany, maintaining their connection despite the distance. Finally, Han Ting proposes to Xing with a diamond ring, and she accepts. They officially get married and obtain their marriage certificate. Han Ting then takes Xing to Germany, where they take their wedding photos, celebrating their hard-earned happiness.